So I think we're getting closer to common sensus. Is. I understand your problem with the word is, but my biggest issue is you use the word equal probability or equal possibility, and it's not a matter of it being equal. In fact, it's exceptionally far from being equal. When I use the term anything is possible, is more reference to present. You're right. Looking up the definition of the word, is generally has a more consistent, probably standing of common or current. But I'm not saying that it will happen. That's far beyond the fact. And the fact that it hasn't happened shouldn't disprove the fact that it could happen. So when I use the statement, anything is possible, you're right, anything is beyond quantification, really, when it comes down to it, because it's quantification of everything. So anything and everything are pseudo-synonymous in that nature, whereas the statement of, if anyone would like to bring it up, of nothing doesn't apply to the word anything, because by saying anything, you're subjectively removing nothing, because nothing is a representation of without thing. So it doesn't really have a thing. One of my major problems with the word nothing, as worthless as it is for us to try to perceive that concept that we added a fucking word to create an object of nothing. It seems counterintuitive, but you know, we're human beings and we like to explain things as best as we possibly can. Is means, in the sense of anything is possible again, is probability and possibility. They lie in the same lines, where it's saying it could happen. Doesn't mean that it will. Doesn't mean that it's equal. Doesn't mean that it will ever happen. Just that it could. And that's more along the lines of where I'm going with anything is possible. Because while no random shit doesn't happen all the time, I don't believe by using the term anything, it's in that nature of possibility. I mean, you can start something like a car 100 billion times and it'll start every single time you do it, but then one subtle thing in the universe changes and then it doesn't start anymore. Now, does that mean it was never possible for it to do that? Or each time it happened that it wasn't possible? No. When using the term anything is possible, I am purely stating it on possibility. Which, if you go back and look, there's possibility and there's probability and blah, 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 blah. So, anything is possible just means that there is a possibility of it. And when it comes down to it, the very term possibility has kind of a future notation to it, because it's a possible. It means something that could or couldn't happen. But by the very fact of saying that it could happen, could or couldn't happen, yes, as soon as an instance is passed, you can say, yes, it hasn't happened. Therefore, it wouldn't be possible. So I guess if we're throwing time travel into the loop, or things like that, which would fall into anything, it kind of negates and proves itself at the same time, because, yeah, it didn't happen in the past, and it hasn't happened yet, but if time travel and those things of the nature, which also fall into anything, are possible, then all bets are out, and there's no real way to explain or define those, because we don't know how the fuck they work. Is it a singularity of the universe? Is it a multiverse? Is it dimensional? Is it all that stuff? And sorry, I know you hate the word dimensional because it's so commonly misused, but still, yeah, by saying anything is possible, it just means that it has a measurable level of success, and anything has a measurable level of success. Granted, it may be to a googolplex of zeros, point whatever chance of ever happening, but it still has the possibility of happening. Anything is possible. Anything has possibility, I guess, is, if you're going to start arguing semantics, which is, of course, one of the main reasons for this debate. The more correct way of explaining my notion is anything has possibility. Maybe that would clear things up. And this is a little bit longer, but I don't like to drone on and on, because then I feel weird talking into a magic box. which portrays messages. And what is that? I came across a random webcomic, which if you were to go and skip a technological period of time and introduce it to the previously skipped generation, most of the time it's perceived as magic. Like if you took Aboriginal people and flew a fucking plane over them, their minds would be blown. They would probably accredit it to something along the lines of magic. Same with the very instance that I'm holding a small metal device and yet I can communicate with the entire world. If they choose to listen, and if they don't, fuck them, who cares? But still, most of the time, if you skip levels of things, it falls into the terms of magic. I mean, you go back 1,000 years in the past and tell them about half the shit that we can do as modern human beings, I'm sure they'd burn you at the stake or something like that. Well, maybe not. Whatever. So, I guess that might be the better way to fall on more common ground, is rather than using the phrasing anything is possible, which I still believe is correct, going with anything has possibility. See if that works. Word.